This week's guest is presented to you by Bertarelli Cutlery. Marco Bertarelli at Bertarelli Cutlery has been in the knife sharpening business for decades. It's a family-owned business straight from the mother country of Italy. Marco is a dear friend, and they've been a partner with Illinois Recovery Center and offering second chance jobs for folks that are leaving treatment and looking for work. Please check them out at bertarellico.com. That's BERTARELLICO.com. And you can always find them in their retail store at 1927 Marconi Avenue on the Hill in St. Louis, Missouri. bertarellicutlery.com.
Hey everyone, Jeff here, the producer of Pondoff's Anonymous. Before we get started, I just want to give you a quick heads up. In today's episode, Chris shares his story, and it's a powerful one. But it also includes some heavy stuff, specifically the death of a childhood friend and the loss of his father. It's raw and it's real, and we're grateful he opened up the way he did. That said, if you're not in the right headspace to hear about those topics today, it's totally okay to skip this one or come back to it later. Take care of yourself, and thanks as always for listening.
Yeah. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. I'll react if I had to. Put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to. Yeah. React if you have to. Yeah. Don't know the time, yeah. Just know that I'm, yeah, one of a kind, yeah. What's on your mind, yeah. We're hard to find, yeah. Beautiful mind, yeah. Still in my prime, yeah. Just know that I'm, yeah.
What's up, everybody? Pondoff's Anonymous at episode blah, blah, blah.
9.
Episode 9.
Thanks, God, for Jeff. We didn't have that last week.
I noticed. We couldn't come up with it.
I was gone last week, so I noticed that.
We fucked up.
I heard you guys. We missed a lot of details without Jeff. So.
I put it in the Outlook invite.
Oh, you do?
I think.
I don't know. I don't look at that either. So.
Of course you don't. Has everybody gone pee-pee potty?
I went
Yeah, that was an issue. Jacob was bitching at me before we started because I go too long. He says I don't know how to land the plane. This is my words, not his.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I fuck up on the conclusions.
Eric just got up and took a piss.
He's right in the middle.
Right in the middle
He
of
didn't
it.
say He's a big dog. Either, yeah. He's a big dog. That was me barking. Can you see my shirt?
Oh, yeah. Look at it on if you can see it on the camera.
T-shirts
Take a look.
definitely make me look skinny. Not. I did hear that you're not allowed to really fat shame anymore.
Who said that?
A guy that has like it's part of sexual harassment in the workplace. You're also not to talk about weight anymore in the workplace. I figured.
No, you guys don't pay me, so free game.
So you can just fat me up. I look all right, but
you look really buff in that shirt.
Same things. It's if I sit up like this, my breasts won't fuck it up. St. Patrick's Day today.
Yeah,
actual.
Yeah, technically, when you're hearing this, it'll be a week after, but.
Well, that's why I'm wearing the shirt for those of the people that watch me on YouTube and beat off to me. Getting a lot of those.
Hey, Ashley. Yeah.
She's the only one that doesn't.
Yeah. Don't kid yourself. She doesn't do it.
Starting to get creepy DMs. Dick pics. So, St. Patrick's Day, which is kind of interesting because we've elected today, and it's not just because we couldn't find a guest. We have guests lined up. But it is St. Patrick's Day, so I figured today we can talk a little bit about this douchebag I know. Every time I see him in the mirror, Chris Pondoff.
Yeah.
Now I'll give my little testimony today, I suppose. I've talked about it in chunks, I think, when we did this last, Jeff. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm just adjusting.
That's all right. Just make me look as svelte.
Yeah. Just the audio.
And as we were coming up what to do tonight, St. Pat's is actually an important part of my story, a footnote, if you will, or an important footnote. And then when this airs, I guess it'll be the 24th.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be 11 years since my last drink.
Oh, wow.
I checked in on the 25th, yeah. Checked in sober. Wow.
When we started doing this podcast, I put that on my calendar, so it's on my calendar every year. And I text you.
Thanks. No,
I text you, hey, quitter.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Fucking chirping
Yeah,
us.
right. He came at you.
Fucking civilian, man.
Sorry.
That's all right. I appreciate it. I know. Rehabs for quitters. That used to be a T-shirt.
Right.
Yeah. So November. Excuse me. That's my actual birthday. March 25th. Will be 11 years if I, God willing, one day at a time. And that's crazy because 11 is. I think 11 is going to be a good year. 11s are my old man's hockey sweater number, my hockey sweater number, family number, tattooed on my back. Now everybody that listens to this, the 6 people that do know at least one part of my password on every.
Yeah, I think that's also your...
I'll change that.
Yeah. That's your handle, too, like on Instagram and stuff.
C Pondoff 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a good year, guys.
Nice.
It's been a tough year this year, 10. Been a hard year work-wise, but not in this industry or field. But a lot of growth, I think, comes through adversity. So hoping for a good 11th year clean and sober. It'll be the 11th year, not the 12th. Screech always says I'm trying to fucking pump up my number to look better or harder. Is it so? If it'll be 11 years to the day I checked in, so I'll be working on my 11th year.
Yeah, it's your 11.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's like your first year, so
I don't know if I killed as many brain cells as you
Within
did when you were using, but I killed a lot of them.
I don't know. So you got clean on the
Clean's day
24th.
0. All right, so the 24th
What year?
of 2014.
So in 2015, do you say I'm at 1 year?
Yeah,
Okay, then yeah, switch. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You
So-
completed a year. It's like your
Right.
birthday.
Yeah, okay. Right. All right. So if that didn't fucking confuse anybody.
Right.
Yeah, I don't math very well, so
Boy.
it's all good. I just trust you.
Yeah, I that night I knew I was checking in the next day. My primary care physician, I went and saw her on that Monday, and it was the Monday after A. It was a Monday after a Saturday at the bars that was still kind of celebrating the St. Patrick's Day, and I was fucking trying to kill my best friend. I was like fucking I heard that he had blocked my number because I was blowing him up, just cussing him out on like Tuesdays at like 4 p.m. over probably some real serious stuff. His wife was pregnant, so I think he had to have a boundary, and it pissed me off. So I was looking for him, and I ended up punching his dad in the face, who was like my second dad. It was nasty. Kicked a couple door down at a couple taverns, like thinking he was hiding in the bathroom. Went into the couple kitchens of these fucking places, looking for him in the walk-ins, and they're like, "Who is it? Get this!" It's like 6 o'clock at night too. They're like used to that behavior, maybe at 2 a.m. So it was an apology tour again the fucking next day and next couple days, and just absolute shame and embarrassment. And to get through those feelings, I'd just be drinking. But it was the last straw of a lot of straws, and not the short ones that I used to fucking hammer rails with. But I called my mother and then my primary care physician and said, I got to come see you now. And she took me in. Love her to this day. So creditors helping me save my life, and she had me admitted that afternoon to a place where I went. It was called Mira. And I said I needed to go home tonight and get some things in order. Nobody wants that. That's never a good thing. I hear that a lot. We see it a lot.
Oh yeah.
But it's always check in now, right now. We'll send a bag. Just go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So like when people say that to me, it's hard for me to be like, no, you need to go now. I do because it's the right thing to say. But I went home and I didn't get completely like out of my mind fucked up. But I told my roommate this was it, and had my drinks, and the last one I poured and stared at for about an hour and a half and sipped it real slowly and just ended up falling asleep on the couch and checked in the next day on 25th. And I say I was sober checking in, but my slow night was 2/5 of whiskey. So I think scientifically I was probably blowing something. Not someone. Something.
How would you know?
Shut the fuck up. I got real drunk, but not that drunk. God. Yeah, and you can go into a liquor store and just buy it. You don't have to
Right.
offer services behind the dumpster. So yeah, man, that's St. Patrick's Day always brings up the end. And Jacob and I talk about him almost every episode. One of my fucking life advisors, big brother, Chazzy, did a training, which is really for clinicians.
And Chris Pondoffs.
But it was on grief and addiction this week, and he sent it to us last minute. Thanks, Chaz. But rarely can I just sit on one of these for 2 hours in the afternoon. I'm, self-important and really busy. But I did, and it was fucking fascinating. And me and Jake were talking about it earlier. He talked about a lot of, grief and addiction. That was what it was, but a lot of I'm trying to think of the word.
Like grieving addiction.
Yeah, like that's right. So all the nuances in it, and he was really speaking to, it was for UMSL and their social work and therapist program. So how to, from a therapist standpoint to therapists in training, but it was really informative. And Jacob called me a pussy earlier for saying that I felt validated and seen.
I did, yes.
He's a macho man. He can't be that. Yeah, Jeff is a big macho man.
That's right. I could tell the moment I met him.
Yeah, right. No empathy in this tough guy over here. Right?
I did a personality test one time, like those, like workplace
Enneagram?
ones you want to do. I don't remember which one it was, but empathy was my number 29 out of 30.
Tracks.
So.
Yeah.
It's
my number one.
Yeah, right. That's funny. For being such an asshole, you fucking help people save their lives every fucking day of your life since you've been clean and sober.
So don't give them empathy.
Oh, right. Fire pucks at their
He's
head.
bad cop, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, Jacob. Maybe you should talk to somebody about that.
Oh, I have.
So this training was saying how, and I'll paraphrase it obviously and butcher the fuck out of it, but what really hit me was it's okay to grieve like a former lifestyle a little bit, or maybe not just a little bit, but grieve it because it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's been a lot of times internally that if I drive, think of the old days and I'm like, I've always been told not to regret them, but thinking of the old days and partying and it was fucking fun. That's why I did it. It was fun. And it is no more. So that's grief. That's a loss. That's change. And there's real grief. And I think it's important to grieve it and name it, feel the loss of it, and then, move on from it. So that was kind of the training. And on Saturday, this past Saturday, we did our church service here at IRC from 6 to 7. And I was driving over, excuse me, and I drove downtown Belleville to get here. And were you out for it? I mean, it was fucking a sea of green shit show.
No,
I mean,
it wasn't.
Every tavern, bar, tents. By this time, people fucking walking around like zombies.
Yeah.
Drunk leprechauns, all that shit. And you're like, there's a part of you that used to be, I was right in the middle of that shit.
Yeah.
Right in the fucking middle. So yeah, there's a part of you that's like, man, that used to be fun.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. Having a little bit of FOMO, I guess.
Right.
But when you put some real thought into it and process the emotion like pussies do, you I think realize really quickly, and you said this when we were talking offline, Jacob, that you think about it, but you can't do it. It's dead. It would fucking die if we go back to that.
Now, I was curious, actually, if you missed it, you know what I mean? Or if there were times when you're like, man, I miss doing that. I mean, I can understand someone who's like, no, I don't really miss heroin because of how sick it made me, and it didn't really do it for me by the time you got.
You definitely miss heroin.
Do you miss it?
Well, so like,
what do you just, that.
So like one thing we have to like, it's like we feel like it's taboo to say,
Yeah.
but like we loved doing drugs.
Right.
Drugs were great.
Yeah.
If they weren't, we wouldn't have kept doing
Right.
them.
Yeah.
You know, like they did their purpose till they just fucking destroy everything about you. But that's one of the
Right.
things that's like sick about this disease. I was sharing with actually Chris earlier, we were talking about like, I still like remember the first time I said at a meeting, like, I want to get high. I want to use. I know this is like 30 days ago. I was homeless and hated myself, and I still want to get high. And the guy next to me was like, well, welcome.
Yeah, you
that's
said
that's
that
what we're here for.
on the
Yeah.
podcast last week.
Yeah, so
Which,
like,
by the way, was a great episode, I might add.
The what the fuck?
Yes.
Fakwa?
Did you like that
I
title?
love
I
the
gave
title's
it?
perfect. Yeah.
Jeff, you're fucking on it.
Hey, listen,
I'm
I'm,
gonna turn all of it over to you.
I'm trying to do I'm trying to get in the head of Chris Pondoff and
So then lose the fucking asterisks. You're almost there.
yeah. Well,
Take the rubber off.
I would. It's just, I wanted to get visible on Facebook.
No, yeah, that's a good point. That algorithm is what everybody says.
Yeah.
Algorithm. I
Yeah.
I've even accidentally liked my own post, which is like ultimate douchebag move. But I'm trying to get the algorithm up.
Right.
I just yelled. Hear that lip.
A little
But-
clip. No,
Yeah,
I was.
I
That's
miss
what
it,
I was.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's times I miss it. Those instances of driving past St. Patrick's Day parties. We used to go to the parade all the time in Belleville, and we would have gone this year, but it was fucking shitty out. It was cloudy. It was supposed to rain, and one thing when you're sober is you make your decisions based on if you're standing on the rain, kiss my ass. But there's there's parts of it that I miss. I don't being. People wonder too. You've been sober to quote unquote this long. I mean, there's a couple ways to look at it. Yeah, it has been a while. I got a lot of confidence built up, but that can be dangerous too. Because if you become complacent, I think you can have 10 years, 30 years. It doesn't matter. So the missing it is brief. Also, because of the time I've had, I've gone to these St. Patrick's Day parties, and my most recent recollections of them are sober, and they're fucking annoying.
Right.
People are out of control and on your nerves and repeating themselves. And
You should have seen me at Mardi Gras.
did you show them titties?
That's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you go to Soulard?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you fucking idiot! Really?
We were in the parade.
But did you stay after?
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Big Daddy's. Yeah, it was a blast. But my wife was pissed at me. I'm not an addict.
I want to
so
hear this. I love when you get sideways enough for her to get mad at you.
Oh God.
That's incredible.
Oh, she gets mad at.
Well, yeah. I'm not going to touch that, but
No, I drank too much.
and she got mad at you.
Oh well, yeah, because
It's awesome.
I didn't remember a lot.
That's awesome.
Apparently, I was very
Fuck
loud.
my testimony. I want to hear about the Soulard. You saw some titties.
Well,
was
just
she
the
with
one.
you?
Yeah,
Just the one. Just one.
two.
Wait,
one
wait,
pair.
wait.
One pair, two titties.
Okay. He almost didn't say it. He was.
Almost didn't say the word.
Yeah,
I
you
know.
did.
I know.
I'm proud of you. So, did you not eat? That's a big problem too. Which is
No, I didn't. No,
also odd because Mardi Gras. It's about the fucking Cajun food first.
I didn't have any Cajun food. I had an egg McMuffin before we went.
It's not enough, brother.
Chris got sober. Now he's worried. Did you drink enough water?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Stay
Yeah.
hydrated?
Do you have any Creole?
No, it's just funny when you're. I haven't done this since college. When you're cracking a beer before 10 o'clock in the morning, it's like what the. It's different.
Maybe you do have a problem.
I don't know. It must be. I don't do it enough to. Maybe if I did it every weekend.
Do tell. No.
How do you feel about this?
Yeah.
I didn't know you went to Soulard.
Oh yeah. It was a
I'll
blast.
tell you, Mardi Gras. I stopped liking Soulard Mardi Gras when I was in active addiction. It was fucking insane. You couldn't piss. You couldn't use your phone.
Yeah, you couldn't get any signal.
You
When we're down there.
we would. Yeah, no, you can't. And then you're coming. Well, we were coming from Belleville, so we'd probably metro it over.
Mm-hmm.
And then the weather's always a crapshoot. Sometimes it's 10 degrees and fucking wet. Every once in a while it's nice, but you're walking all the way to Bush's Metrolink and you're shit faced and you're looking for blow. And if you don't, because you've done all that you brought, nobody brings like enough. Right. You
I didn't have any
do
blow.
what's in your fucking pocket. That's good.
Yeah, I didn't have any.
If
blow.
you did, then we'd probably have that conversation.
Yeah, there'd be time. No, we had the all you could drink at Big Daddy's that had a bathroom, right? So it was all good.
I forgot to set my timer, my stopwatch. I've been liking to do that to know
It's
how
about
long we're going.
10 minutes, 13 minutes probably.
I don't care. I just want to know because I'm going to set a record here.
Just for your friend.
Just
So we
so
won't mention their name.
just so the people that think one of the episodes is too long can fucking pack a lunch. No, so I don't miss it. I always tell people I miss the hot toddy the most when I'm sick.
Mm-hmm.
But there are parts that, miss. I don't know if it's because I was an alcoholic or I preferred day drinking. We always joke with buddy of mine, I'm like, you're a day drinker. You're a day drinker. And I don't know if that just means you're full-blown alcoholic when you're a day drinker. Right. But I loved, like...
Turns out you're also a night drinker.
Yeah, right. A day drinker, right? Any day that isn't wine.
Yeah.
And it was some of the fun, like the most fun I would have is Sunday, quote-unquote, barbecues where you just... stand around a guy grilling and drink and watch NASCAR. And that there were some fun days in that shit. But even that, like I think about the end, and it didn't end for me. It ended for everybody else. They would eat a pork steak, and that would be it, and watch the show and kind of doze off on the couch and like get up and go to work the next day. And I had to keep it going because I couldn't stop until I absolutely passed out drunk. So, yeah, I get to that. I grieve for a second and then get to it. And I brought that up at church. That service, the actual message was on, leading up to Easter, and Jesus goes through emotions, and this was not to get all Christian super freak on the episode, but it's whatever the fuck, it's what I do. So it was about him being sad, and I guess Lazarus died, and it said Jesus wept, and it showed us that it's okay to be sad and grieve. And so having that, and then that training, which was all unintentional. It made me really think about that, and I shared that, and I think it resonated that people that are here now, clients, are going through all kinds of loss, probably good losses, maybe, right? Like, you're going to, you don't advise to go right back to the crew of people you've been using with for 10 years. So that's a loss. That's a change, and you're going to grieve it. But you mentioned it when we were talking offline, like, that lifestyle's got to die. You're going to die. So
a lot of times that's more, it's as addicting as the substance, just the way we lived. You know? Like just not knowing the next minute, that stuff gets addicting the way.
Like habitual. Like, those are people that you're with. So
just the chaos of it.
And it as much as we love community as maybe the crux of this recovery stuff, there's part of it is that was your community,
Right.
It might have been the people you were using with every day that was your only sense of community. So you got to grieve that and kind of form a new.
And we always talk about, at least I do, talking like it's, you don't get rid of people, places. You have to replace those things. Like you have to get new people. You have to get new things.
Sure.
You got to get new places. If you don't, then you got this huge hole. And as addicts, we like to fill holes with drugs or whatever we get our hands on. So.
Amen. And that's a good point because we, when we start on day 1, 2, 3, you're almost writing down, I did, every hour of the day. So there weren't empty time slots. And if there was, find a meeting, right? And
right.
You don't want that chunk of time. So.
And that's why recovery programs are important because it gives you that community. Or like the church, that's always a good option for that because you replace those people, places, things all through one community. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Feel validated and heard?
And seen, baby.
Seen, there it was.
I think we need tissues.
Yeah.
I might get a little choked up.
We probably do need some for some of the guests we've had.
I felt bad. I think that I have to kick you to when Tina was... She was starting to lose it a little bit, and I'm like, we don't have any tissues, and I didn't know what to do.
Therapist told me one time that you shouldn't give tissues to somebody crying.
Which therapist?
I don't remember her name, but it was a therapist said that. Ask Ashley about it.
I will. It's Chaz and Ashley. That's interesting.
That's what they said.
So yeah, March 25th, be 11 years, and the where it started, I think now knowing about, and I don't want to, I'm not looking for any empathy here, but it's been traced back to childhood trauma, I think, and for me, and I've written about this. I've probably talked about it before, Jeff, when we did this in 2020. But there was when I was 8, there was a real tragedy in our family that was horrible, and it led me down a road of what I call my sorry butt accountability, lack of accountability, because I started learning and being not intentionally taught that not everything was my fault because I witnessed this horrific tragedy. So when I was 8, my best friend in the world that we spent every waking hour with for years was killed in a go-kart accident. Right, I was the cart behind him, and he flipped and died, and instantly. And honestly, it was still debatable, but here in Belleville, it was a horrible deal, and it's still something that, it's fucked up, hard to talk about. Go to his stone pretty often, more than once a year. So used to be more, but he's got a twin sister that I still love and adore and pray for every day. His mother was on her honeymoon when it happened with her new husband. His bio dad, forgive me for saying, is the number one guy on my cut list. Complete piece of shit, but still working on the forgiveness thing that Jesus talks about a little bit there. But he's doing life in prison, so unless he gets pardoned, he's pretty safe. Yeah, and the thing that I witnessed him do isn't even the reason I hit him. He came in to the emergency room. We all got swifted down to St. Elizabeth's from the go-kart act when St. Elizabeth's used to be here downtown Belleville. And we were in there, and they had taken Johnny back, and we're working on him. And some people were trying to distract me and the other friend that was with us. And the bio dad came in shit-faced and just started wailing on my old man, and they were trying to pull him off, and my dad's like, let him go. I'd do the same thing. That's not the reason I hit him. That's just I have empathy for that. Mm-hmm. But it's the $80 million he stole from the elderly and crippled trust funds he set up. The reason I don't like him, the restraining order he put on me as an 8-year-old to go to John's funeral, the reason I don't like him.
Oh, Jesus.
The suing our family for everything we had that didn't get taken care of for 10 years. So from 8 to 17, I had this impending doom that of survivor's guilt, and that we were going to lose it all. Which was, just as a kid, all is all.
Yeah,
and
right.
I don't know anything different. And he sued a gal one time and won like $25,000 because her dog shit in his yard, and he sued her and won money. He lived over at Signal Hill.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know where exactly. It's down the street from me.
Yeah,
Less than a
You
block
know.
away from where I live now.
Yeah, we'd go to that house. It'd be completely unsupervised. Some bad shit would go down. He's a real piece of fuck, man. But again, let us pray. No, it's not the end. But I already shut this down. But going through that was as brutal as it can get. Now, I will say that it was my first real time that I can point to that I knew who Jesus was, because he showed up in a lot of ways for me, and I knew it then. And I knew that John was in heaven, and there would be a reunion eventually. I knew it, and that is something that if there's a silver lining, that was it. Talk about it a lot, is to share your faith. That it's the hardest times is really when you lean in the most, and when some people push back and like, why would that? I don't think he causes the suffering. I know he doesn't, but I couldn't imagine going through shit like that. Going through getting clean and sober without, I don't know how. I just couldn't do it. So that was my first real relationship. And it's not because people have told me that's where I found God. As much as I remember that go-kart flipping and John laying in a fetal position on that fucking cement, I remember God protecting us that from the reality, and as much, and still to this day. And there's a couple stories I could go on and on about, but on how that worked. But the reason I bring it up is because growing up then, never, my old man had been through a lot of shit. You never really, as a kid, think about how hard that is on your parent who brought us to the go-kart track, who had to jump the fence. I remember my dad wasn't a little guy, but he fucking hurdled this fence like Macho Man would jump into a wrestling ring over the ropes. And went and grabbed John and like was holding him and shit and fucking wailing like what the like he'd been through some shit. And I bring that up is because he's a tough guy like Jakob, and no talking to therapy or anything like that. I'm just chirping you, but that wasn't even a thing back then, really. I feel, especially for kiddos. It did have a great. So that was summer going into third grade. I credit the school counselor at Whiteside. Mrs. Hart was her name then. She's, I think, since been divorced and remarried, but I know she has been. You remember people, then the God stuff, like she probably helped say me more than anybody. I had, there was a girl that I had a crush on in third grade. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Started young. It was lived in the neighborhood, and I had a crush on her, and she said she wouldn't be my girlfriend because I didn't have a reputation. Something like that. It pissed me off, so I was going to show her the next day at school that I was a tough guy, so I brought a cheese spreader to school, and I never did anything with it, but I was a little psycho. It was a fucking candy cane cheese spreader knife, and she still to this day, we're good friends. She makes fun of me about it to this day. My family makes fun of me about it to this day. They put it out every holiday. I still have it. But I was fucked up in the head, so I went, and that's how I got, okay, we got to kick the kid out of school. He's got to have to talk to a counselor. And so I talked to Miss Hart, met her, and she was the, yeah, man, God, thinking about it chokes me up a little bit. She was a godsend, and forever in debt to her. But as I kept growing up, and it was like not long enough with her because she ended up getting promoted and moved to a different school, and then there was no further mental health. My family was going through it too. It was just hard on everybody, and I started recognizing I was getting out of trouble for things because I endured this. And kids, like if I think about that as a parent, catch on to shit like that. Like Charlie would catch on to shit like that in a heartbeat. And, maybe things prepare you. But Charlie's got a tough first 3 years of his life before he came to us. And it's not an excuse. We know that now. Like we're going to throw that on your back and persevere despite, and we'll work on it. But it's not an excuse for poor choices and behaviors. But I think I really was able to manipulate that in getting to high school, middle school, and then junior high when I first started like trying alcohol and weed. The way it made me feel was obviously pretty special, and then the ability to kind of bullshit my way out of the accountability if I were to get in trouble from it, did me no favors. And it also wasn't just the John thing. Again, and if I went through some other hard things in life that are part of life, close people, losing more close people to you, or, some white boy problems. My parents split up, and I had excuses to drink and get fucked up with no accountability. And that's a real slippery slope, man. That's a real slippery slope. And I just became, now looking back, probably a drink a day at least by senior year, I was having a drink every day, and not just one. There was, and it was like whiskey. My dad drank whiskey. I idolized him. I'm going to drink whiskey. I'm going to pour it on ice, and I'm going to sip on it in my basement. And then I go to college, and like my chill drink was whiskey. If I was going out to the bars, I would, and they were doing, I remember they outlawed it in the state of Illinois, but the first bar we were regulars at, because my buddies worked there, a place called Tonic, they would serve Long Island pitchers.
Oh, wow.
With, like, you had 4 guys, 4 straws, a pitcher of Long Island, and you just sucked them down. So, I mean, whiskey was my, like, at-home drink.
Wow,
And my
yeah.
after-party drink. Pour it, sip it. But at the bars, I'd shoot, the fucking Jaeger bombs were, I didn't pop my collar. But Goldschlager turned into Rumpelmans. Rumpelmans turned into Rehab. That's basically the progression. But, and, you know, I idolized my old man, and my old man had I always say he was fucking superhuman. And granted, he fucking died of a heart attack at 54, so maybe not so much. But he worked hard and played hard, and through, you know, family drama and shit, him and I we always were. I always idolized him, but really all my eggs were in his basket. And I would party with him, hit it hard with him, but he was my accountability. Anytime I would, you making me look good over there? That's impossible.
Appreciate it.
It's not that. You really have to spend money on a camera for that. Those are pretty cheap. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's not mine, is it?
No.
All right. Yeah. Maybe it is.
It's not all about you, Chris. You
Good
know.
luck. Well, I thought I was telling today. Just kidding. So partying and shit with Tom was a way of life, but I was always accountable. I go back to I think you said this, Jacob, like the functioning alcoholic. People say that because they're doing one thing good.
Right. Yeah.
The 6 other things are falling to shit, but because they get up and go to work, it's okay that they're an alcoholic. But, you know, in my dad's defense, he would always say, you know, your mother and them take Prozac. I take a little cocaine. What's the fuck's the difference? There's a difference, just for the disclaimer. But when you hear that as a 20-year-old that idolizes your old man, you kind of can just, like, all right.
Right.
Line me one up. So college started. I mean, it was real bad, and I always tell this story when it hit me. I probably was 22, 23, working on my 9th or 10th year at U of I. Like 7 years. Dr. Pondoff. I was sick, and then I was feeling a little bit better, but on the phone with friend of mine, we were on and off dating, but I was telling her, she's like, "You're being a fucking asshole. Like, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, I don't know. I'm not feeling good. And she's like, "When's the last time you had a drink?" And it hit me. I hadn't had a drink in 24 hours. And that's the last time that I can remember going that long. And then I made me a drink, and I started snapping out of it. And that was like the first seed, like, okay, that's a little bit of a flag.
Yeah.
That, you know, you can't go one literal day without, and if you do, you start, which I now know, I guess, is irritability.
Right.
Which also just, I mean, she was a real pain in the ass, but I'm kidding. She might listen to this.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you still friendly?
And she's supposed to be decorating this fucking office.
Oh, okay.
But that was the first time I remember saying to myself, not out loud. It was not out loud yet, but I think I'm an alcoholic. And it didn't, I guess, bother me. I was just like, I just know better. I better have a drink if the clock starts getting close to that time frame. And, you know, I wasn't getting fucked up going to class or anything when I went to class, but as soon as I got home, I'd pour an after-work cocktail like my grandparents did and Tom did and everything. So I just really, really developed a taste for the whiskey I liked, and was an everyday occurrence. And then when I'd go out to the towny bar I hung out at, I was never a big, except for that place that my buddies worked at because I was 18 and it was easy to get served at. I was never a big college campus bar like Cam's or some of the places. I would go if people came to town to show them a good time, but
Yeah.
you know, I wasn't a big. I had all my friends were little frat boys, pikes, but
Yeah, I went to the Teeks party.
yeah,
It was pretty rowdy.
Did you eat the cracker?
No.
Okay, good. That's a joke. Do you get that?
Didn't get it, but I'm
Yeah,
I put it together. You know,
It's like a hazing thing where they all fucking never mind.
Don't Google it.
Nope. But I kind of chirped the frat boys. But I, God bless them. I hung out with them, sold them all coke, and did our thing. But I'm a tavern guy, a neighborhood tavern. I don't want to go fucking
Dancing.
yeah, right. Fighting to get to a SoCo and lime shot that I fucking hate. The thought of Southern Comfort this day makes me gag. It was the first thing I ever threw up. I would drink this was freshman year in high school. I threw up like violently sick. I was just shooting SoCo from a pint and like chasing it with a Dr. Pepper. And then I hit a blunt and that was all she wrote. Can't you, it's liquor before beer, you're in the clear. Well, the blunt's got to come first. I don't know the rhyme for it, but if you're going to get high, then drink. Don't drink, then go to a blunt.
Yeah.
At least when you're 13. If any of you are listening.
When you're 13.
Trying to give some tips. One time my buddy was puking. We were like 12, and his dad said, "Your problem is you fucking mixed your liquors." My mom was so pissed. She's like, "No,
That's amazing.
I'd supposed to have liquor at all."
Yeah.
Life lessons. So yeah, when I'd go to the towny bar, it would be I'd have a drink and then I'd shoot a Rumpelmann's, and you can start a car with Rumpelmann's. It's 100 proof pep schnapps, and boy, still gives me the. Well, I don't know what I just did there, but it's like a shiver, shimmy. Yeah, that's how I used to fucking brush my teeth in the morning when it got real bad. But you know, fast forward through my 20s till I was I was 28. My old man died, heart attack suddenly, and that was it for me. There went all the accountability and even will to live. All my eggs were in his basket, every one of them. Worked for him, was my best friend. Probably an unhealthy relationship. It was because I idolized him so fucking much, and I still do. So I'm unapologetic about it. Kiss my ass to the family members of mine that are listening and saying he's still got work to do. Fuck off. But we did everything together, man. We traveled together because I would shadow him in the job, and we'd be on the road all the time, and drink a lot when you're on the road and sales. So yeah, when he died, man, it was lights out, and I wrote about it, and I titled I guess it was a blog. I don't like that word. It makes me feel like a douchebag, but I don't know what else it would be called. It was titled 22 Months Dark because it was from when he died to when I checked into rehab, about 22 months. And I didn't have the balls to swallow a gun or anything, but I was suicide by bottle. I didn't care if I woke up, and everything around me was falling apart. You had the balls to share your story, so as a hygiene, not getting up and drinking, not showering every day. House smells like fucking booze, sweat, piss, and cigs. I mean, bottle that up and put it in a fucking clone. If friends wouldn't come over anymore, I had a roommate that was, equally a drinker. But some would say he stopped drinking as much when I went to rehab because
didn't have a buddy anymore.
Yeah. And it got, it was bad. People were worried. They would check in, call. Nobody knew what to do. Nobody knows what to do. Because it was, such like awful, devastating grief. that I was already an alcoholic going into it. Now I just needed that much more. And I wasn't, like, the time wasn't a barrier to me anymore, the time of day, especially Monday through Friday. When he was around weekends, I'd start earlier and earlier, go to the bars. He'd get pissed if I wasted a whole fucking day at Fridays, but I kind of started blowing through those stop signs before he died. But after he died, it was I wake up in the morning and drink what I fell asleep next to because there's alcohol in it. And I didn't want to, I never, ever would pour that down the sink. God, to this day, when Ashley is like, yeah, just dump that wine out that's in the fridge. I'm fucking kidding me? I could sell that on the streets of Belleville. But I still have a hard time. I dump it out, and it's like, she's like, well, it's not that hard for people that aren't alcoholics. It's gross wine now.
Yeah.
Probably tastes better than the fucking shit I was drinking at the end, because, you know, when you start drinking that much, you're going from, especially when the old man was around and it was on his tab, fucking Crowns and
Right.
more expensive whiskeys to rich and rare plastic jugs. I was keeping, this guy would order special stock for me at the liquor store up the street in Belleville. Jeff will get mad at this, but we used to call it Asian Mart. Because there was, when we were 16, we'd buy alcohol there, and it was a family of Asian persuasion that owned it. But it had gone to, like, I think some Muslims owned it, and then some Indians, and then back to Muslims, and then just some white people. But we always called it Asian Mart. Once the name sticks, it's like a nickname. But I was keeping Jack. Like, nobody was more pissed off that I got sober than Jack, which is what his American name was.
That's funny.
At this old 7-Eleven that's been a liquor store for the better part of my life. And I was buying the $9.99 jugs. I wasn't buying the stuff that was behind the bulletproof glass. But I was buying a lot
Buy
of it.
enough of them.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
And I started fucking playing daytime lottery, pick threes. You ever do that?
No.
Yeah.
Are you a pull tabs guy?
No, only when I went to the Elks. I was doing that shit when I was like 6.
Yeah.
When I'd have to go like hang out at the Elks Lodge with my grandparents when they were babysitting me. Those were fun, sure.
Yeah.
And that's when they had the machines. Grandma would sit at the machines. Now they're in every fucking truck stop here and bar and laundromat
Yeah.
in Illinois, which are a real problem. We should probably have an episode on that. There's people that cannot stop dumping rent and mortgages into those fucking things.
Right.
And I've been there, done that. But yeah, Jack was pissed when I stopped drinking, and it was real bad. Like, people that know me can probably smell the house. I mean, it wasn't. No, I sound like a fucking that bad. Maybe it was. It was bad. My mom still brings up that when she came and picked me up in Bristol, my dog. And Bristol ran and jumped in the car. Like, could not wait to get me the fuck out of here. And then she took me to rehab and then watched the dog while I was in rehab. And as Jack was the only the most pissed off guy that I got sober, I don't think anybody was happier that I got sober than Bristol, my pup. She was over the lifestyle, I think. I got fucking home from rehab, and my mom and sister took Bristol to the groomer, and they painted her fucking toenails pink. I was so pissed. God. They had to immediately take her to a spa day to get the whiskey and cigarette smell out of her. One of Bristol's birthdays, I did give her a bowl full of Beast Light and Friday's pizza. No, I didn't give her whiskey.
Yeah, just beast.
You know, she died a year and a half ago. Going back to the grieving thing I was telling you this earlier, that was the hardest grief I've been through sober. It was real life.
Yeah.
All right, let me tell you something. Losing a pet, losing a dog is no judgment here. And I told Ashley, I said, I got back from the vet, and I'm like, just a wreck, and I'm like, a drink would make this pain go away for a little bit, and I want to have one. I said those words. Like, I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
but I want to have a drink to make this pain go away because it was all too familiar shit that I'd run from since I was 8. And she was grateful that she's like, I'm glad you said it because I know you'd think it, but be able to like say it, verbalize it. You would ask me how she reacted, and I think she was grateful. She would rather me say it than not.
Mm-hmm.
You want to? Can you fucking dissect that?
Dissect it? Sounds like a good thing for you to say, bud. You did good.
Thanks.
Good job, Chrissy.
Oh, more Ash.
She
Good
did great.
job,
No,
Ash.
that's really good. That's good for her because she's not an addict. You know what I mean? I always say I know, like,
Covering codependent, not an addict.
Yeah.
because a lot of people that are like our support people that don't understand that thinking are going to be worried.
Yeah.
Kind of keep an eye on you just in case. So she's. I don't know if she did that or not internally, but
No, I mean,
very
we've
good.
always had a real good conversation, and her first marriage ended. Her ex-husband that is no, he's on my cut list just because.
His default.
Yeah,
He defaults there. Yeah.
well, he was an asshole to her. But he fell into major fucking pill addiction too. So she's like been down the road. So she was grateful, yeah, that I said it. And we have a liquor cabinet at home. I'm okay. I think when I first got my own townhouse, so after I got out of rehab, I, stayed with my mother for a little bit, and she was like doing everything she could not to get me to go back to Belleville. She was living in Webster at the time. And, I mean, cooking great meals, doing my fucking laundry, cradling it like an egg not to go back to Belleville, which... Where's fucking Kevin Bunton when we need him? Kevin, we'll talk about that.
I sent him a picture of you actually a minute ago.
You did?
He texted me, sorry.
He's a great man. He wants to come back on.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about step group work. What was it?
Oh, it's just like the process of step work and how it's different for each person.
Yeah. I think it'll be good. It'll be good. Him and you and maybe someone else. He's working on that. But anyway, yeah, I kind of wish. See, the place I went didn't have that at all. There was no. I got yellow Post-it notes of people that would call, and your phone time was in like the communal room. There was a phone that wasn't even a cordless. Like it had a wire to it. I don't think it had like the turn dial. I think it actually had the numbers. But you called it, and you could call people back. You had 15 minutes a night, and there was no family program at all. Like,
No.
Which may be why it hits me so much, because as great as my mom was, there was so much she didn't know, so much I didn't know, which I'm learning now, And also, she grew up with alcoholic parents, big time. I don't claim it. I love him to death, my Irish, but her dad's a fucking Irish iron worker, and, could put him down, never missed a day of work. Is that a thing? Just didn't come home very much. But, so I always tell her to go to ACA. That's something we never talked about.
ACA, yeah.
What's that?
really
Thank
big.
you.
There it is.
There's a civilian.
What's ACA?
Adult Children of Alcohol.
Oh, I've heard that before. Yeah.
So
The book is really big.
Oh, yeah. That's
It's
what
one of
I've
the only
heard
books that
of,
have
yeah.
not made it through yet. It's long.
too long.
It's
Yeah.
fucking
The guy that I know,
5 inches thick.
Greg Johnson, real good guy and been a long-time recovery guy, that it's big on it, said that it should be adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. Like almost anybody could go to it and probably learn a lot.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got a little bit of dysfunction, some more. But that's another thing, Chaz, I appreciated about that is, like, I'm talking about my trauma story and how I learned and all that, and there's people out there, we've had them on here that have been through things that I would fucking cower under a table and go back to the bottle if I had to go through it, I think. But you can't have a hierarchy of grief. Like, each person's experience is unique to them, and far too often, you hear the term "get over it." I've been through that. Get over it,
Yeah.
pussy.
I don't hear that often.
Big pussy. Get over it. And I think that's I think that when especially in a setting like this, that could be real problematic, because you don't want to downplay what people are fucking going through.
Why are you winking at me? I'll say do something about it.
Yeah. I'm not saying just sit there and fucking cry about it. Cry about it for a little bit, and then let's talk a little business. Pity party.
Get over it, Chris.
24 hours. 24 hours. That's a rule. I try to hey, bad shit happens. Fucking have pity, man. Self-pity but let 24 hours. Let's cap it. And that's if I'm real healthy, and that's not always the case, right? I'm fucking healthy, baby. Spitting image. So the sorry bud is what I kind of named my abridged version of, because checking into rehab was when I said, that's it. I'm done. There's no more buts. I'm sorry, and this isn't going to happen again because I'm not going to do what makes me behave that way. Because it's probably the only thing in my fucking life that I can try and control. Mm-hmm. That's a serenity prayer, Joe.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
There you go. But seriously, so I always say the 3 pillars of my recovery is humility, accountability, and faith. And in that, 3 is better than 4, but gratitude is
3 better than 4?
Just because I'm stupid.
4 pillars hold up a house.
3 pillars. 3 pillars plus 1. So gratitude's huge too. Gratitude is, I think. Would you agree?
Oh, gratitude. I would make it a pillar if I was you.
Well, I mean, it all comes from faith. So maybe it's humility, accountability, and gratitude. Faith's like the overarching.
The roof of the pillars.
It's the roof. It's foundation. But it's on bedrock, not sand. Foundation. You heard that?
I have.
There you go, Christian.
Yeah.
God, I'm a fucking prof. No, I'm not. Don't say that. I almost call myself a prophet.
Go for it.
Boy, fucking narcissism right there, baby.
Hey, modern day.
You ever dealt with a narcissist?
Yes.
Holy fuck.
Yes.
Have you? Yeah. They infect you like a fucking disease until you cut it out. It's bad, but we'll do that podcast later.
Hey, I worked for one. He was a pastor in Fairview Heights.
Oh, yeah. Closeted. That's because he's a closeted homosexual.
I don't know. No comment.
Comment. Yeah, I mean, the self-loathing, I feel bad for him because he hates himself so much.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't on the receiving end of, which I wish you would, there's a part of me, Jeff, that would like to see you fucking lose it.
Oh.
I bet you, I mean, if you lost it, you're like that nice guy that would probably fucking rip somebody's head off and shit down their throat if you were pushed far enough. You're the guys I don't fuck with.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's true. I don't think I'd do that.
So yeah, it's that accountability to take back, and I share that with people that are here when I get a chance to. It's liberating.
I have a question for you. Like, what do you do to hold yourself accountable?
Well, I fuck up.
It's
so
not about
little.
the spot, you know.
Well, I really just don't make that many mistakes. I'm trying to think. It's all about looking inward, and so looking inward, being self-aware, and doing whatever I possibly can to look at that person's perspective. I think it's a long-winded answer, but those tools that I've learned and worked on, that leads me to saying I'm sorry, but not I'm sorry, but like a legit I apologize. When you're married to a therapist, you know the difference between gaslighting and actually saying sorry. You got to take that test at the first fucking date.
Right. You ever talk to her and she's like, "You're gaslighting," and you're like, "What? No, I'm not." And like,
yeah,
that's gaslighting.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right.
I just gaslight her.
It's the worst.
Yeah. When then I tell her, don't get all fucking clinical. You're not my therapist.
Right.
No.
Ethics
so
against that.
Those are short answers.
Right. Just asking.
But I mean, trying to have as little bit of an ego as possible. I think everybody's got some. I think I said to you earlier that my ego is microscopic in comparison.
Which is a lie. But, so that's why honesty is not a pillar of yours. But
I didn't say honesty. I did say that. What do you do? What do you do?
Accountability is huge. That's why I asked you.
Well, I'm going to ask what you do.
For accountability, I guess it depends on what the circumstance is, but
and I'm not just like throwing it back at you, but honestly, it's a good conversation because that's really sorry, but is what I named it.
I think in early recovery, I took a lot of my accountability away from myself. I think it was really important for me. Like I had people in my life that would snitch on me. Like I'd always use the example of like my daughter's mom, which is not an addict, has no idea about the drug world. She couldn't tell if you're high or not high. She just don't know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I remember one of the questions like early on was like, if I would tell her if I used, would I tell her if I relapsed, you know? Well, the reality, no. Like, she controls my daughter. Like, I'm not about to tell her I'm high again, right? So in my head, like, there's no accountability there. So I had to have, like, my sponsor, I gave him her number.
Oh, wow.
Like, if I used, tell on me. Because I can't hold myself accountable there. So, like, using our resources, like, our community for that way. Then, like, over time, you start getting that self-accountability.
That's like a Vivitrol shot of accountability.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, no, that's really proactive. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think now that you bring that up. Like when I went back to my mom's, I mean,
You're living with your mom.
yeah,
It's good accountability.
So that, I mean, that's how it started.
And humbling as well.
Very. And I think there was a time, and this probably doesn't have much to do with accountability, that they would, it was me, my mom, and my sister, and she's home from college, and they'd have dinner, and I would tell them one thing I didn't like is if they were like, should we have wine? And I, they didn't want to. I'm like, no, it's okay. Like,
Right.
it would make me almost feel worse if they went like out of their way to hide it. They would have done it for me, and I don't know if that works for everybody. So I would be careful saying that, but I didn't want
I agree with
them to. I did not want to feel like a crutch. Like I didn't want to feel like I was a patient that they had to whisper behind my back because that felt. It made me feel real weak, I think.
Yeah, I think that's something that I don't think a lot of us talk about a lot either. Is that like, because I feel the same way. Like when people like ask me, "Oh, do you care if I drink around you?" Like I'm almost more offended if you didn't.
Yeah,
yeah, like,
exactly.
That makes us feel like a burden. But like
Right.
also it depends on the circumstance. It can be risky for the addict or whatever. But like we don't want you to change your life because of us.
Sure.
We understand. Let's be real. We've already changed our people that love us life a lot through active addiction.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to. Like, there's certain like, don't let them drink. Like, if my mom would let me drink or something, it'd be horrible. Or girlfriend, whoever it is. But like, don't change your life because I had to change mine.
Sure.
When it comes to drinking, because it does make you feel like a burden. Or
Right. No, exactly. That's exactly how I felt. I remember the first time I went out, was to an engagement party, and I went out and people were hugging on me. We're proud of you. I had my club soda with me. My mom was, she always said the first night of sleep she got in years was when I checked into rehab. And then she was doing pretty good, but I think that night she was probably pacing the house because she knew I was going in there. Everybody, and it was a shit-faced drunk engagement party.
Yeah.
My buddies were just, they doing their thing, and that's fine. But I went and I came home, and I think that, I don't know if it was a test, but coming home and talking to my mom about it and telling her, I felt good. Everybody, it was still kind of honeymooning then, people were dabbing me the fuck up because these guys and gals were all probably, it's a low bar to diagnose somebody with a SUD and clinically. Like, I'm sure they're all probably on the books as an alcoholic, but they were all fucking worried about me. They all knew that this was not ending well. And it wasn't going to be a long time before they got that call. So they were all happy and glad that I went to treatment and got sober and stopped drinking. One of them, love her to death to this day, thought I'd last 2 weeks because that's how much I drank. And take that, Kyla. And the buddy I tried to kill, I got to go to, so I got his first daughter was born in June, and I got to go to the hospital, see her, and I remember we still laugh about it. I went to hold her, and I fucking pumped the wall hand sanitizer, and I was like, oh shit, this is alcohol-based hand sanitizer. And the mom, I was kind of kidding, but the mom was like, oh my God, did you relapse for Stella? I go, I'd relapse for Stella. I was using Hello Kitty hand sanitizers when I got out of rehab. the little kids
Yeah.
stuff, and because it had the least amount of alcohol in it. I
Ugh.
couldn't find them without. So I was like, okay, because I was fucking not wanting anything to happen to me.
Accountability.
And
There
I
you
felt
go.
so good sober. God damn, man. I felt so fucking good. And I did not want to. And the part of the accountability to your question, I think it started with an ultimate humbling. Like, I thought I knew everything when I was in my 20s and cocky. And I wasn't cocky at rock bottom. That it did. But before my dad died, I was fucking arrogant. I was borderline spoiled. Compared to a lot of people I knew, I was born on second base. I think that saw third base, but so I just had a lot of that liberal P word, not pussy, privilege. I got liberal pussy at home.
Beef that up.
No, yeah,
I'm going to
Actually say.
isolate just that part.
I don't think
There's the real.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think the last 3 site pastors of the church I have are females too, so I really got to be careful with the female shit.
Right.
And they're all ultra badass feminists too. So. Yeah. There'll be some sermons I'll be like, are you talking to me? It's going after the fucking alpha male. And I don't think I'm too alpha. You don't. You're a fucking alpha male. That's a compliment.
Well, thank you, Chris.
I don't believe in it.
You're an alpha. You're a bad motherfucker. Jacob's a bad motherfucker. My buddy Ryan Peters. Long story. He fucking tight end. I'm going a little aside here. I love him. What's up, Big Pete? This kid started freshman quarterback. He's a freshman in high school, starting quarterback for East when we were freshmen. He validated our whole class. Because we got the quarterback. So quit fucking with me. Not paddling me, motherfuckers. Play hockey, I'll beat the fuck out of you. Anyway, so Peters, there was this kid, and we were up in college, and this kid was talking shit, and he was a little guy, and this guy's could barely fit through the door. Peters is like, man, I'm not fucking with you. You how many times you work out a day? You got to work out 3 times a day. And he just started grabbing his arms, squeezing his bicep. And the kid was hurting him. He's just squeezing. He's like, man, you're a bad motherfucker. You're bad. I'm not fucking with you. And he just mind fucked this kid to almost start crying. It was. I'm not giving it justice recounting the story, but it was fucking clinical. Oh, I loved it. I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna send him a text and be like, I know you don't listen to a podcast, but I dabbed you up. Yeah, so that humility was I think what leads to the ability to really be accountable and own your shit. And listening. I don't know everything. If you're telling me I did something wrong, I'll shut up and listen.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big part of it too. And I didn't hit this enough, but I was saying it's fucking liberating. And I tell people that here. And I've said it on this. It's such a... The juice is so worth the squeeze to adapt to these pillars, or whatever you want to call them, into your transformation, because it leads to way better. And it I think I attribute it to, if you want to call my recovery sustainable, recovery successful, that's what I attribute it to that and God. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, happy you brought up the humility side of it, because that's crucial for early recovery. I have to as a grown man do, or woman, whatever, accept I suck at running my life. I don't know how to fucking do it. Yeah. And then asking for help, and not just asking help. At least for me, when people suggest things in early recovery, I disagreed with it every time. That doesn't work. That's stupid. But then I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, so I'll do it anyhow, and it would always work out. It'd be great. And that's it's hard to do.
Sure.
It's hard to get out of your own way, as we call it. It's difficult, but once you do, it's liberating. Mm-hmm. I always say, as soon as I accepted I don't know shit, the struggle stopped. Things just started getting better once I took myself out of it.
It really does.
And it is humbling to do. It's hard, but once you do it,
and I think it goes for a lot more than just what this is. It is something that just leads to, I mean, it's why there's group therapy, cognitive group therapy, whatever you want to call it, for all kinds of people that are going through the same shit. Like if you've lost a loved one, or if you have a loved one in a cancer diagnosis, and you go seek out a group. There's divorce groups. You go to a group, whether you're new to this, oh fuck, and you go and you listen to what people that have gone through it before you. I mean, it can be life-saving. It really can be. And I've heard you say it countless times here. I've heard Eric say it. Like, we've tried it your way. Mm-hmm. You've tried it your way. You're here.
Right.
Fucking just listen, chill. It's less energy exerted.
Right.
And I'm telling you, there was probably kicking and screaming, but eventually, I think for the people that really, you can see it, that really get it, and it doesn't take long for them to really start flying.
Oh yeah, and that's like where I call it like this light switch moment.
Okay.
When you see a client that just like they flip that light switch on.
Yeah.
And just the treatment gets 1,000 times better, or like hitting your first crossroad and taking like the choice that you don't want to because it's the right choice. Like that will mold and shape somebody's recovery to be much, much better.
And I like that because it's that one where it clicks, and you can look back on and be like, I want to remember for the next time I'm being stubborn or hard-headed or trying it my way. I'm going to remember that time and where, the progress it led to. I don't know if you get clean and sober and make this change without humility, accountability, or gratitude. I don't think.
You could be a dry drunk. I guess. I'm sure there's people out there that do it.
Yeah, but
that's
people
not do everything. But like
it's sustainable.
It's a horrible existence. You know, I always say like, because sobriety is different than recovery. They're not the same thing.
Sure.
You know.
Right.
And when you're just sober or like dry drunk or white knuckling it, whatever term you want to use, like, fuck, that sucks. You're miserable still. Like you're gonna want to get high if your life don't get better. That's where recovery comes in. Makes life better,
and you find joy in the life. Without, it's that. I like that. And do you know what a dry drunk is, Jeff?
No. I mean, context clues, but
it's just somebody that doesn't drink, but they're still miserable, living in self-pity.
Oh yeah.
They're not doing anything to get better. You know, it's just it's a grumpy old man that with no booze. Like that's what I picture. I think dry drunk, but
it's 100%, man.
It's an addict without recovery, you know.
And you've said it before that those behaviors can be classified as a relapse, because when you're not working your program and you're not in all those behaviors that you just named really end up leading you to a relapse.
It's the start of the relapse.
Sure.
Like that's one thing about relapse is like at least I teach it. If somebody disagrees, that's fine, but. Like your relapse ends when you use. Like when you use, you're in active addiction. So the relapse is months before it, so you can start it. It doesn't like get a period till you use, so you can stop the relapse from happening. But once those symptoms start coming up, you get complacent. You stop doing your meetings or wherever you work in your church. Whatever you do to stay clean, you stop doing it. You'll start seeing all these old characteristics pop up. I call them symptoms of our disease.
Okay,
they start popping up, and if you don't address those symptoms now, you're back in active addiction. You're sick again.
Now, I remember you saying that, and I like it because I've seen, whether it's medical diagnosis or I'm not going to piss off all the feminists. I was going to say a gal. I was going to say pregnant chick, but then I was going to say a gal that's pregnant. I'm just not going to touch that one.
Yeah. Just go to like the medical diagnosis part.
A girl with child.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm not going to touch the pregnant girl, but what I am saying is I've seen people with medical diagnoses as the reasons they can't drink for an X amount of time when they probably shouldn't. They should pursue a life in this life because it is better, and there's a lot of fucking abundance in it, and it's really life-giving that I would classify as going through a dry drunk phase. And you nailed it. Yeah, I mean, it's just an irritable, moody, not, good stuff, Jakob. All right.
I'm curious for you. I remember knowing that you bartended.
Yeah, baby.
How are you bartending with this addiction? Are you making it through the shift without drinking? Or are
Absolutely
you drinking
not.
the whole
We
time?
No, at the bar I bartended at. Yeah, I wouldn't have bartended if I couldn't drink while I bartended.
Yeah.
In fact, the first time I started cooking at that tavern, I was 17, and the bartender came back. Well, actually, first day the manager, God rest her soul, full blown alcoholic. Her first name was Donna. I loved her, and one time she left me a note to tell me like, dice the tomatoes and stock them, and she signed the note D-O-N-A. She spelled her fucking own name wrong. But she was like, there was a pizza can back in the kitchen that was notorious for some party favors lined out on them, and she was like, my first day, she's like, left one back there for you.
Amazing.
Fuck, my best job ever.
Yeah, we used to have I worked at a bar and grill, and the bartender would leave like cases of beer for us underage kids, like in the walk-in, just inside the walk-in. When the walk-in was right by the back door, so we could just reach in and grab one, head out for the night. I'm like, those places are really shady and amazing at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like that anymore. At the tavern I grew up at, I don't think.
Probably most. Yeah,
And I still think that I don't see, and I don't know all. Remember, I was saying I was humble.
Yeah.
I don't think that like the high school party where the parents are like, y'all are spending the night and I'll get the keg is going on that much anymore.
Right.
I mean,
I bet it is.
Well, in the fucking bumfuck Egypt town, you nothing else to do out there. No, I mean, I don't know. It was so prevalent growing up and going to Belleville East when I did. Like when I went to Champaign, the kids from Chicago wanted to come to Belleville for spring break. Like we were all experienced alcoholics by the time we got to college, and the kids that we would meet from Chicago that never drank at all in high school because their parents would ground them or whatever, they would come to school and they're the fucking ones that ended up in the hospital with alcohol poisoning,
right?
Because they're getting so fucking stupid. But yeah, they would want to come to Belleville for spring break because we had the best bars, the best blow, and the best titty bars. Seriously, in the country there for a while, and I'm not just saying that because I was engaged to one. Sorry.
It's just
reminiscing.
No, I was feeling the CPAP machine she broke over my head.
Jeez, I forgot about that. I heard that story.
Toxic. But everybody's a hero of their own story, right? So, sure, I'm the asshole. The truth of the matter is I really don't think that the kids are doing other dumb shit. I don't think there's those. Hopefully not. And I think as there's more cars on the road now, there's texting and driving. Yeah, I mean, there's just where kids in high school were getting DUIs left and right.
Oh yeah,
in Belleville East,
where I grew up too.
Not this boy.
you didn't.
You never did. You ever get a DUI?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
I had some strings.
Yeah. I got my first DUI like 2 days after my 21st birthday.
Really?
Blew a .081.
Oh boy!
Fucking could have burped and passed it.
Oh shit! That's brutal. If you're gonna get a DUI, man.
Oh, it was horrible. My second one, I was sober, so drug tested me. So I lit that thing up.
Oh, well, that's not sober.
Yeah, I was not on. I was in withdrawals. Gonna get drugs. You know?
That's a bad break.
So 2 DWIs felt over. Shit.
Yeah, no Deweys here.
No, I've never had any.
I'm not surprised.
Well, yeah.
Have you ever had anything?
No.
Minor possession on it?
No.
Pussy.
Speeding tickets.
Speaking of pussies.
Right, yeah.
Fucking dork.
Take back what I said earlier, Chris.
Oh, come on. No, I know some people who drove better drunk.
Well, I did after I did a fucking fat key. Then I could, I mean, seriously, a lot of people do a blow to get from bar to bar. Yeah, there's been a lot of close calls. It was about 6 months after I got sober. I was driving, and a buddy of mine was in the back seat, and he was fucking wasted. And we hit a checkpoint in East Side, right off of Route 3. And don't ask me what we were doing there. There was a orphanage. We were going to feeding soup to the children. And the cop rolled down the window, and I was fucking just had the most shit-eating grin. I was like, my worst fear was a checkpoint 6 months ago in the prior 10 years.
Yeah.
I go, this is the coolest thing that's happened to me. He's like, how much you had to drink? I go, nothing. I was so fucked up. I'm like, I'm 186 days sober. He's like, what? I go, yeah, I went to rehab 6.5 months ago. He goes, are you serious? I go, yes, I'm perfectly fine. This is incredible. And he was like, he looked in back. I go, don't ask him. That's why I'm driving. Right. And I almost said his name. He's in the back saying, fuck yeah. Fuck. Quiet back there. That's him from Black Sheep.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he was like, well, good for you, man. He goes, just make sure that this idiot doesn't get behind the wheel. Yeah. Kid in the back. And off we went. It was, I'm telling you, it was like I snorted a rail of Viagra. I was so excited. It was good stuff, man. So yeah, and then one of the first things I noticed driving after I went to rehab, like at night, I could tell. And if you were drinking and driving, I fucking knew exactly. That guy up there is wasted, and I'd just be like staying behind him. But you could just tell they're fucking swerving, trying so hard to stay in the lines, like too hard.
Right. Yeah.
Going exactly 65. That doesn't happen. Yeah. I could have been a fucking rat, just been like calling him, like, yeah, this guy. Yeah. So that's my testimony in a nutshell. And since Jakob says I can't land the plane, do you guys have any questions? I'd love to field some questions.
I'm trying to think of one that's like easier to answer. I want to ask you what's your proudest moment in your sobriety in the last almost 11 years?
The proud. It had to be that night in Boston. I know I wasn't on the team, but June 12th, 2019, when the Stanley Cup. No,
but you were on the plane.
It's one of the last times I cried.
I don't know. I guess it's a toss up between wedding day and adoption day. Charlie's adoption day.
So there you go. Being able to be a family man.
Yeah, like the staring out and giving a speech at my wedding. I'm not going to have a wedding and not take the mic.
Right. He gave his own speech.
Yeah. I got this.
Here's a toast to me.
Yeah. That's that humility, baby.
Yeah.
I fucking nailed it, just so you know. I'll send you
Is it on video?
I got it, yeah.
Maybe we should
He
release
watches it every night.
Maybe we should release it on the podcast.
We could. It was pretty good. I'm just saying. The same guy that was shit-faced in the back seat of the car when I went through the checkpoint, he was in my wedding, and I mentioned like how miracles can happen from Jesus. Like, me marrying this like liberal saint was one, me getting sober, and this guy wearing a suit. Were my three examples. But yeah, but like looking around, not having one drink, dancing my ass off, and every wedding I had attended, a fuckload of them, were just complete shit shows. There was a place in Belleville that was always known for its weddings. You had to ask one of our clinicians here is a family of the people that owned it called Fishers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they had the best weddings. Screech would probably disagree. He ended up in the ambulance in a couple of them. I think one he fell into his head, and the other one somebody KO'd him just out of nowhere. Classic. But those weddings would just be complete fucking shit shows, wasted drunk. And I always wanted one of those. I was like, at my wedding, I want everybody to get and then irony has it that I was the only sober guy at my wedding. Ashley didn't get drunk. I mean, she had a couple glasses of champagne, but she danced her ass off too. It was at the golf course clubhouse at Forest Park. It was fun. It was on a Sunday, so it was cheaper.
Yeah. There's weird culture around weddings and where I'm from. If you have them at the KC Hall.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Fried chicken and mascacholi.
Yeah, well, we would always mascacholi. We would always sneak in and crash weddings.
Really?
Yeah, we would crash the wedding receptions.
Trying to nab a bridesmaid?
No, just to get booze.
Oh.
Because they would serve us there.
Okay. And then go after a bridesmaid. There's
Well.
always a couple bridesmaids. that
There's
go
always
out
a couple.
that
We were in
fall.
high school though.
Even better.
Yeah. So I got a question for you.
Do tell.
Are you you didn't work the program, did you? Or did you kind of do it? What's
Yeah,
your,
no, I'm glad you asked that
Yeah.
because where I believe in recovery programs, I feel that my group at the gathering was my surrogate AA.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a couple meetings. So I did outpatient group therapy and individual therapy religiously. And I credit the church we go to, you worked at. I don't know if you remember a guy named Greg Robbins.
Oh yeah.
He was the core group leader, and he introduced me to Matt Fulmer. Well, Bianski did, but he goes, you're going to be in his core group. And I could not have had a better, to this day, he's my no guy. Like, he was a sponsor without him knowing it. And,
Fulmer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I owe a lot to him in my early recovery. And that whole group held me accountable, every one of them. I owed them accountability, and they were very good at it. There was Martha, who introduced Ashley and I, that 80-year young lady that, was Ashley had befriended her, and I had befriended her for different reasons. 30 years sober, and I would go to an AA meeting when her husband passed away. We went to an AA meeting and got his chip, and they passed it around, and everybody prayed and said a blessing over it. It was pretty neat. Mm-hmm. I've done some guest speaking engagements at some AAs. I think one of my, and maybe this was I don't know if it's an ego, and I'll let you're the clinician of the podcast. It was either ego or hurt feelings, and maybe that's both, but there was an old timer in AA when he knew that I was going to Friday still, my tavern, not TGI Fridays, it's like my Cheers.
Right.
And drinking club soda, that because I did that, I wasn't a real alcoholic. And because I wasn't a part of a AA group. And I felt kind of offended by that. And it turned me off from AA because I have noticed that there's some fanatical AA guys, old timers, that think it's the only way. And which is contrary to what Bill W. even wrote about AA, right?
Yeah,
It's a way, he said it.
Yeah, it's a way. Then, because even when AA came out, it wasn't the only program.
Right,
it
but
was the first or anything. So what we say in my side of recovery, because I'm a 12-step guy, is that person's putting his personality over principles.
Oh,
So
that said that to me? Or that I was doing that?
him.
Okay.
He was. That's when when people are like that, I get well, that person just, let's be real, it's a shit person. The literature
It was hurtful.
The literature doesn't say that.
Well,
you know what I mean? So
the Bible wouldn't say it either, I guess.
that's the way you got to look at it, because there's a lot of personality in the rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're addicts. We all got some type of personality thing going on.
I'm fanatical about recovery, I guess, because I think it's something to be fanatical. Like, listen, if I know some Marines are fanatical about being Marines, right?
Right.
It's even a line from Few Good Men. Like, that's.
Yeah.
But to be like that, to me, closes more when you act like that. You close some doors, and AA has saved thousands and thousands, and hundreds of thousands of lives, and I believe in it. And I send people there. I promote it. I tell people to go, because it's better than nothing. And I'm going to be honest. When I was freshly out, I had a fucking pamphlet, a printout of every AA within a 10-mile radius of my house in my office that I carried in my briefcase every day. It was like my prescription of Xanax that I haven't taken in 10 years. And it's in my briefcase when I fly, and I never need it. But I wonder how I would do if it wasn't in that briefcase. It was like a warm blanket, and I knew if I started fucking slipping, I was going to go to an AA meeting. So maybe yeah. So I'm definitely humble enough to admit that.
Yeah.
Because I picked my nose on camera. Forgot about that. But yeah, that core group really, and it took so the core group and then what I will say I really leaned into was service, giving and service, and because I will say this, that when I'm doing any type of give back or service and I don't get it right, I can be selfish, but when I do that, it gets me out of my own fucking head, and in between my ears can be a fucked up place, and when I'm serving or giving, or when I'm here doing this podcast, serving at church, or whatever team or capacity they need help in, anything like that, it gets me out of the mirror and helps me focus on others, and that is a better place for me to be the more time than not. And I think that's a big component of all, like most 12-step groups, right?
Service work. Oh, it's like it's a pillar.
Right.
Of their program.
Pillar, thanks.
They have 4, but
these are the, like, what people will say, why? I mean, that's really, it's got to be part of it, because that giving back is, and I tell people that, it is, you couldn't do it without it. And if you try, I don't know.
It gives you a purpose.
There you go.
Well, purpose, also accountability, because people are relying on you.
Yeah.
And early recovery, at least, that's a strange feeling. Like, to be relied on and then also following through and completing it. Like, what a great feel. That's a motivation to keep doing it,
Yeah, so good question. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's why I like Jeff.
My questions suck without you.
Well, yeah, so that's Pondoff in a nutshell. Thanks for giving me the time, gentlemen.
You picked the guest. So.
Thanks for sharing.
I did pick the guest. The self-promotion, I guess. What time is it? How are we doing?
7
About 3 hours in, I think.
3 hours? Yeah, right.
No, about an hour and 20.
Oh, so we still got 45 more minutes. What do you want to talk about?
Get your picks in yet for
line night of the national championship, baby.
No, he lost.
That's a
waste of bracket there.
How many brackets are you doing?
I don't know. I usually do 2. I usually do in my Illini one and then my real one. The problem is my real one. My real one always sucks too, because then I instead of Illini winning the national championship, I'll just have them losing in the Final Four. So,
yeah, right.
I need to make myself, if I had some fucking accountability and self-discipline, to pick them to lose the first round, and then I would be in it. Right. I don't know. I've studied it a little bit. I think that they have a path if they play the way they're capable of playing. Yeah. They are the, I think, most dangerous 6 or higher seed, 6 to 10 seed out there. And every year, it seems like a 5 or 6 or 7 makes a run.
I've got them losing to Mizzou. Am I kicked out?
No. Fill out a couple of those.
I've got 4. I'm doing 4.
All right. For my pool?
No, yeah.
Okay. It's the only street pool left. My buddy Fingers grades those sheets. There's no online checking. Just keep your copy of yours, and I'll tell you if you win or not. Screech says it's rigged. Believe it's fun, and I'm on a bunch of online ones, but then you fill out the SPN one, try to get a perfect bracket.
Yeah.
I usually, like, my goal is to be not not completely be out of it, like where your bracket is just fucking trash,
right?
By the evening games on Friday. So if you make it a day and a half where you lose like one Elite 8 team, but maybe not,
right?
Then I'm feeling pretty good. If I make it that far, because like as a year Purdue lost to the number, I had winning the whole thing, and they fucking lost to a 16 seed pretty early. I was like, well, fuck, man, it's the best weekend of sports. You fucking prematurely ejaculate all over yourself on the first tip off. I do want to do Vegas for this once, and just to hang out in the books. Jacob and I went to a sober bachelor party in Vegas for a couple days, and it was interesting.
Yeah.
We had a blast, I think.
I had a lot.
Ate a lot of good food. The EDM. Was it EDM?
Yeah.
Festival was in.
Oh, yeah.
You should probably know what that is.
Well, I'm not into it, but I know what it is.
Well, I mean, if you were, you'd have to be walking around the Aria with your ass cheeks hanging out. There was these girls passed out
rolling on Molly.
Yeah, fucking Adderall, Molly, you name it.
Oh, that's a lot of shit.
It was 5 o'clock, like dinner time, or not even.
I don't think it was, because that's right when that's when we're going to our room.
Yeah, this girl's like passed out in the elevator, and we just kind of threw our business cards and say, hey, we got a recovery center in Illinois. But I was like worried about her. It was early.
Yeah.
She was done, and her girlfriend was trying to pick her up, but kept falling all over her. And they're like wearing. I thought they were coming from the pool, but they were coming from this dance festival at the NASCAR track, and literally in fucking G-string bikinis, and it's like, this is bad. This is not good. And like, it wasn't pretty or cute or any of that shit. It was, you actually felt bad for him. At least I did. I don't want to speak for Jacob.
Yeah.
You felt bad for him.
We were out.
Doesn't have any empathy.
I went to a bachelor party there once.
29 out of 30.
30 was woo, so explains
What's 30?
woo, like wooing.
Oh yeah, you don't have that. I don't have
What
that.
the fuck is that? Like Ric
It's
Flair?
you. That was your number one.
Woo! I'm not a wooer.
You're a wooer.
I'm
Yeah,
not.
dude. Yeah, you are.
Am I?
That means
Yeah.
it's in your top 3, I'm
Oh,
sure.
What the fuck is a wooer?
You.
No, that's not answering the
Ooh,
question.
you've got
Like a good talker, like energetic.
yeah, like you bring people
Charismatic.
in. Yeah, charismatic is really
Yeah, that's a better term then. Okay,
Yeah.
I can fucking endorse that, but I'm not a wooer.
You're a wooer.
I used to woo bitches.
I went to a bachelor party once in Vegas, and there was a guy. I think it was some hooker was. She was like at the Subway in our hotel food court or something, and the guy that was with us was trying to like buy her dinner.
Nice. Subway.
But he didn't realize. He just thought she was like some sad woman, and I'm like,
Well,
she probably was,
right.
but she wasn't. I'm like, she's not into you.
Can't shame sex workers anymore. We're not doing that. Just
No.
wanted to put that out
That's a
there.
little fucked up, Jeff. But
No, come on, I wasn't shaming her. I'm shaming him.
No, right. Yeah, the fucker.
That's the same guy that
Is he trying to get her a foot long? Get it?
the same guy. He thought he was showing off. He put $1,000 on black and lost.
That's
right
not showing
away.
off in Vegas. That's
No.
you're
No,
a
he was showing
douchebag.
off to us.
Oh.
Yeah, he thought he was.
Glad he lost.
Yeah, he lost.
Yeah, that.
I didn't know the guy.
I just thought of something that's self-deprecating. It's not hard to do. I love my wife so much. And I think I brought up 3 of my exes on this fucking show.
What's all about you?
It is. I got it. Still close with a lot of them. I was gonna invite them to my wedding, and Ashley said that's fine. They just have to sit at the same table, and I was like, that's not a good idea.
They've got their own.
One of them's got an ankle bracelet on. I couldn't fucking. I probably wouldn't have been able to make it anyway. What do they call that? Why is your Apple Watch around your ankle? No, it was fun, man, but the wheels fell off when Tom died, and it was my rock bottom was a period of time. It wasn't one incident. People always ask, was there one thing that, one DUI or car accident or, robbing your mother or name it. And there wasn't. There was a lot of not wanting to live. And then when the God gave me this will to live and at least the knowledge and power and courage to say I need help because I could not live with alcohol. It was done. And then finally asking for help, which I don't care what you're doing. And there's a lot of stereotypical jokes about that, like a guy never asks for directions or reads the instructions. There's something about asking for help, and it's fucking chicks are awful at it too. I mean, asking for help is fucking hard, no matter what it is. But once you do, man, the floodgates open of people that want to help, and we're our own worst enemy on that. We get in our own way of wanting to ask for help. So God was able to somehow, some way. My sister Brooke did. She was 18 when Tom died, right, week before high school graduation, and at some point between him dying and me checking into rehab, she mentioned that she was going to need me to walk her down the aisle one day, and that stuck with me. That was a big one. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but 6 months after my old man died, we lost a nephew, my cousin's son, and to a heart defect. He was 13 months old. And I drove to the PICU and found out he was sick, shit-faced, wasted, because it was a day that ended in Y, and went there to be there. But what if here's this, like, our family's at this all-time low, and Chris out there gets in a car accident or drunk and kills somebody on the way to go be there for Ollie and the family. So things like that started really tugging, but it was that will to live, and then asking for help. And I finished with that because I think it is important that, probably the most important I think that we've said, or I've said tonight, is it is hard as fuck to ask for help. And it sounds like an easy thing to do, but it is hard. I know it's hard. We know it's hard. And oftentimes the hardest things to do in life are the most fucking rewarding. So if you're out there listening, or if you know somebody that's struggling, ask for help. It's out there, and there are people that are sitting by a phone right now, right, Jacob?
Oh yeah,
ready to help, and people want to help. So I think where we think it's weak, the opposite is 100% the case. It's fucking balls. It's courage, all wrapped up, and it's brave. So you can do it. Ask for help, guys. Thanks for giving me the floor. Feels weird.
You did great.
Thanks,
Job,
Jeff.
Chris.
Thanks, Jacob.
You did a great job. Proud of you.
Cool guest next week, maybe 2, and it'll be a fucking hoot. So stay tuned. Please, please, please follow, like, subscribe, whatever those buttons are. In all seriousness, they say that's what the algorithm needs, so the message gets amplified. And if you got any questions or suggestions, fire it Jeff's way so he can filter the hard ones. I don't like criticism.
I don't either.
Send them to Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob don't give a shit.
Yeah, he don't give a fuck. He's a 29 on empathy.
Yeah.
But please follow us, like us, share us, tell us your friends about it if you want. It helps. All of that helps, and that's how you support us. And also, we do have one sponsor, and that's Bertarelli Cutlery. So if you need some knives, go check them out. They're a really good retail shop, and if you work in the restaurant industry, call them. They have a best program, best pricing in the city. Been doing it for decades and centuries, really. Back to the mother country. Yeah, so that's it. Pondoff's Anonymous, episode 9 in the books. For Jacob Miller and Pat McGrowan down there. Thanks for letting me share my story. Let us pray.
If you're struggling or know someone that is, please, please have them check out our podcast and reach out to Chris or me. We want to listen, and we're super eager to help. Our music is Anti-Hero by McCall and Gentle Waters by Wild Wonder. For more information, visit pondoffsanonymous.com. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.